smell? Oh shit, fire! Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh no, fire exploded! Ah! Fire! Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, come on. Oh shit, fire. Oh shit! Fire. Step 1, be calm. Step 2, be aware of your surroundings. See if it's a fire you can put out. Step 3, find a thing that can extinguish it, depending on your surroundings. Since this is like a common fire, where that's not electrical, gas, or grease, you can use water. Okay? So step 4, hose it down with water. Cover it in water. Like that. Step 5 is you make sure no embers are left over. If there's any embers, you step on it. Okay. Step 6, you can cover it in dirt if you want. Yeah. Step 7, just make sure everything's not burning anymore. And yeah. And just in case, the first step. See, look, this fire again. You see that? You gotta stay here until you make sure everything is stopped. And then first step, if you can't handle the fire, call 911.
Before we start this video, I would like to thank Charity for providing us drinks for this video. Thanks, Emma. So what is fire? Fire is a special type of chemical reaction called combustion that occurs between oxygen in the air and some type of fuel. Combustion is when fuel reacts with oxygen to release heat energy. Now let's talk about the reaction during the chemical reaction that produces fire. Fuel is heated to such an extent that it releases gases from the surface. Only gases, which are made up of molecules, can react in combustion. Once the gas is hot enough, the molecules break apart and the fragments rejoin with the oxygen in the air to produce new molecules, which are H2O and CO2. Okay, so next I'm going to be talking about how things ignite. So how things ignite, specifically paper, is when fire is held to paper, molecules that are bounded closely to one another on the surface of the paper are loosened by the heat, and they move further apart from one another, becoming gas. The gas molecules combine with the oxygen molecules in the air, and the paper begins to burn. Heat is generated by this reaction, and also the heat energy is what sustains the reaction. As long as there is fuel and oxygen, it will keep going. So basically the chemical formula for that is fuel plus O2 equals CO2 plus H2O plus heat energy. Okay. And then also, there's something called complete combustion, where the burning fuel only produces H2O and CO2, no smoke or other products. Okay. For this to occur, there needs to be enough oxygen to combine completely with the fuel gas. This is commonly shown in methane gas, used for cooking, basically. So, as you can see what I'm writing here, using methane gas, the formula for this is CH4, which is methane, plus 2O2 plus heat equals CO2 plus 2H2O plus heat, which makes, and then usually in complete combustion, the flame is blue, while in...
Before I talk about the video, I want to say thank you for Greenridge for sponsoring this video. Okay, fire is all around us. Anything in our home is flammable, and we were always taught that fire is extinguished by water, but never talked about how or the process of fire being extinguished. When asked, people mostly believe that the water extinguished oxygen. However, that is not always the case, when really water is removing the heat. In a fire, there's a fire triangle consisting of air, fuel, and heat. When one is taken away, the fire dies out. We can understand why water extinguishes the fire because it absorbs the energy and heat. This is only for wood fire. However, for liquid fire, it is the same process but requires more energy. Since water is absorbing the energy and heat, if the fire can't provide enough heat or boil it off, it will die out. A good example would be paper cups and paper cups with water inside. When a paper cup is just burned, it'll burn easier and spread quicker. However, with water inside, it is more resistant as the water absorbs energy from the fire on the inside. Keep in mind that this is different from grease fire. When applying water to grease fire, it splashes on the oil and spreads the fire out even more. You should never ever use water to remove a grease fire. You can remove the fire by placing a lid over it, which traps the heat in and dies out quickly, as well as a fire extinguisher that always will extinguish any fire. Thank now to my co-anchor, Emma.
Thank you, Simon. I will be talking about fire extinguishers. But first, thank you to our sponsor, Kirkland Almond Milk, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the topic. Fire occurs when three things happen at the same place at the same time. Fuel, which is anything to burn such as wood, coal, or etc. Oxygen, and heat. This is a reaction that creates fire. It burns when each of these things are present, and it stops when at least one of these things are removed. There are three types of fire extinguishers, but for now, I'll be talking about the dry chemical extinguisher. It is basically a dry powder or foam compressed with nitrogen. They work by smothering the fire and taking out the oxygen. The most noticeable difference between a water extinguisher and the one that fires carbon dioxide is the large black cone-shaped horn, which allows the carbon dioxide gas to expand, cool, and turn into a mixture of frozen snow and gas. The horn has to be designed very carefully to stop two major potential problems. It has to allow the CO2 to exit at high speed, so any snow that forms doesn't block it up. And it has to mix up with the gas in a fairly turbulent way to stop it from firing from the horn as well at the fire as well, which would effectively make the fire burn more strongly. This typical design from a patent by Brooks Equipment in the 1970s solves both problems, as you can see next. In this diagram, this is a picture of a dry chemical extinguisher. For number 10, it is a tank containing pressurized liquid carbon dioxide. Number 12 would be the valve. 14 would be the trigger. 16 is the discharge horn made of plastic that can survive low temperatures without cracking. 18 is the reinforcing bands that wrap around the horn at the intervals. And 20 would be the nipple with the screw thread to which the horn attaches. So now I'll be talking.
Wow, what the? Get out! Damn!
Simon, hold it steady, bro.
Same time. Wait, no, I fucked up. Oh!